In 1978, a researcher named James Lynch walked into a hospital cardiac unit and noticed something that nobody else was paying attention to. Not the machines, not the medication. He noticed that the patients who had no one to visit them died faster. Not a little faster, significantly faster. He published his findings, but the medical world largely ignored him, because what he was suggesting was too uncomfortable to accept, that the human body doesn't just need food, water, and sleep to survive. It needs other people, and without them, it begins to die. We live in the most connected era in human history. More messages sent per day than ever before, more followers, more contacts, more notifications. And yet, loneliness rates in the United States have doubled since the 1980s. In 2023, the U.S. Surgeon General did something that had never been done before. He issued a formal health advisory. Not about obesity, not about drug addiction, about loneliness. He called it an epidemic. But here's what most people don't know. The science behind that advisory didn't start with smartphones or social media. It started decades earlier, with a series of experiments so disturbing in their results that researchers initially refused to believe their own data. And what they found changes everything about how you think about your daily life. In the early 1980s, a psychologist named John Cacioppo began studying something that medicine had never taken seriously: loneliness. Not depression, not anxiety, loneliness specifically. He wanted to know, does feeling socially isolated actually change the body? What he found was alarming. Lonely people had measurably higher levels of cortisol, the stress hormone, at baseline, not during stressful events, all the time, as if their body was permanently bracing for a threat that never came. Their immune systems were suppressed, their cardiovascular systems were inflamed, their DNA, and this is the part that stopped researchers cold, their DNA was expressing differently. Genes linked to inflammation were being switched on, genes linked to antiviral response were being switched off. The body of a lonely person, at the cellular level, looked like the body of someone under constant physical attack. Cacioppo ran these studies for over 30 years. His conclusion, published in peer-reviewed journals, was precise and devastating. Chronic loneliness increases the risk of early death by 26%. To put that in context, obesity increases mortality risk around 20%, air pollution around 5%. Loneliness is more lethal than both. But that still didn't answer the most important question: why? Why would feeling alone, an emotion, kill a physical body? The answer required going back, much further back than Cacioppo's lab, back to before cities, before language, before fire. For 99% of human history, being separated from your group meant one thing: death. Not metaphorical death, literal death. A human alone on the African savanna 200,000 years ago had no shelter, no protection, no food security. Separation from the tribe was a death sentence, often measured in hours, not days. So the human brain evolved a response to social isolation that was as urgent as physical pain, because it needed to be. Pain tells you to remove your hand from fire. Loneliness, real chronic loneliness, was designed to tell you, get back to your people or you will not survive. Cacioppo called this the smoke detector theory of loneliness. A smoke detector doesn't wait until your house is fully on fire to go off. It activates at the first hint of danger. It is loud. It is persistent. It is designed to be impossible to ignore. That's what loneliness is. A 200,000-year-old alarm system firing in a modern world it was never built for. The problem is, the alarm is still going off, but the threat it was designed to respond to no longer exists in the same way. Modern humans are surrounded by people, but the brain cannot always tell the difference between physical isolation and emotional isolation. You can be in a room full of people and have every alarm in your nervous system screaming, and chronically, over months, over years, that alarm destroys the body from the inside. In the 1990s, researchers at Carnegie Mellon University ran an experiment that would become one of the most cited studies in modern medicine. They took 276 healthy volunteers, gave them nasal drops containing a cold virus, then tracked who got sick. They measured every variable they could think of: sleep, diet, exercise, age, body mass, but the single strongest predictor of who got sick? Social connection. People with diverse, active social networks who regularly interacted with friends, family, co-workers, community were 4 times less likely to develop a cold than people who were socially isolated. 4 times. Not because they had better immune systems genetically, but because social connection was building their immune system in real time. The body of a connected person and the body of a lonely person, given the same virus, responded completely differently. One fought, one surrendered. The researcher Sheldon Cohen said afterward that the effect of social ties on health was so strong it rivaled the effect of vaccination. Let that land for a moment. Your relationships, the quality of them, the depth of them, are functioning as biological medicine inside your body right now. Or they're not. And the body keeps score either way. And here is the part that James Lynch noticed back in 1978, the part the hospital ignored, the part that might be the most important finding of all. Lynch discovered that when someone held the hand of a critically ill patient, a nurse, a family member, even a stranger, the patient's heart rate stabilized, blood pressure dropped, the body's stress response quieted, not from medication, from human contact, from presence. He wrote, "The simple act of human touch communicates to the nervous system, you are not alone, you are safe, you can rest." And a body that believes it is safe heals differently than one that doesn't. This is not philosophy. This is not self-help. This is measurable, peer-reviewed, replicated biology. The human body was never designed to run alone. It was designed to be witnessed, to be touched, to be known. And in a world that has made it easier than ever to be constantly connected and lonelier than ever at the same time, that ancient design is being violated every single day, at a cost that is invisible until it isn't. Cacioppo spent his entire career trying to get the world to take loneliness seriously. He died in 2018, a year before the U.S. Surgeon General confirmed everything he had spent 30 years proving. The research is no longer a debate. Loneliness is not a feeling to push through. It is a physiological state, as real as hunger, as measurable as fever, that the body uses to tell you something essential is missing. And just like hunger, ignoring it long enough doesn't make it go away. It just lets the damage quietly accumulate. So the question isn't whether this affects you. The question is whether you've been trained to call it something else. Busyness, independence, being fine. Your body knows the difference. It always has.